listening to the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast, your weekly post-apocalyptic news roundup.
Hello and welcome back to this 87th episode of the Post-Apocalyptic Media Podcast. I'm your host, Sean. I'm the senior editor here at post-apocalyptic.com. And this week is a return of me from not being here last week. Yeah, I lost my voice last week. So that was a lot of fun, not having a voice and not recording the podcast. So I missed out on talking about, the week's fun post-apocalyptic news. I say fun because it's always fun, right? It's fun post-apocalyptic. Well, this week, of course, there's a lot to talk about, as always. I'm not really going to go over the stuff from last week. I feel like that's old news by now. But I will talk about Tales of the Walking Dead because the finale was last week and I missed talking about that, and that was sad. So I'll talk a little bit about that. But first of all, let's get into site news, right? Site news is stuff that has to do with postapocalyptic.com, the post-apocalyptic media website. And the one thing that I really wanted to discuss was, I know I've mentioned this before, but I want to talk about it again, which is our second annual short story writing contest. This is where the applause would happen right here if I was in a live studio audience. So the second annual short story writing contest is underway right now. It started 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And it runs all the way till December. And so what we did last year was our first annual short story writing contest. And what we did was we took the top 3 and we published those stories on the website, and we gave a cash prize. And it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And actually, I really, I coordinate this and I read the stories, and Tina and I both judge the stories. And it's a lot of fun because I felt like the authors whom I talked to were very, just really down-to-earth people. It was a lot of fun kind of, talking with those people, especially when I was able to present them with a prize, right? And actually, some of them, the top 3 winners and then also some more, went on to be in the anthology that I created, or that I'm creating right now, called Through the Aftermath. And I know I've talked about it before. Last episode, I plugged it by like about 16 times. That is actually done now. The Kickstarter for that is done. This is a little segue, a little Kickstarter segue. That Kickstarter is done and it's been funded, and it was almost 300% of the goal, which is amazing. I was so humbled and so impressed with just the way everyone kind of got together and showed their support for this. It's truly amazing to me. I didn't know if I would get funded at all. And not only that, it's been funded. The pre-orders, 130 people pre-ordered the book. And not only just one book, a lot of people did multiple books. So probably over 200 books have been pre-ordered. So it's a kind of a big deal. All those people are going to have their names in the book, some of them on the back cover, some of them just inside the book. But it's a pretty amazing compilation of post-apocalyptic short stories. So if you haven't taken part in that Kickstarter and you still want to get the book at some point, it will be published in a few months. I'm not sure when exactly, and maybe even early into 2023, and you can pick that up. Of course, I will have links to that and all that later. But continuing on was my original thought process, which was about this writing contest. What we've said in this contest here is that if the winners, and also we may choose others from the pool of contestants also, are going to be in another anthology. We're going to start doing this more regularly, where we're going to have maybe a yearly anthology from the winners and from other people who enter. So I'm excited about that because I love putting together anthologies. I love herding cats. No, it's actually not bad. It's actually a very rewarding experience, and I really enjoy this. I used to be an editor-in-chief at massively.com, and that used to be my whole job, is getting people to write and telling them what to, I don't tell people what to write in this short story anthology, but, getting people to write, telling them what to write, and kind of coordinating that whole thing into one coherent website. Well, now it's one coherent collection of short stories. So I'm excited about that because this contest will lead to another anthology. That's cool. That's really cool to me. So anyway, the top prize in this is $300, plus you get your story on the website, and you also get, to be in the anthology, stuff like that. You get interview. Top prize gets an interview. You either get to go on this podcast or have a written interview, and just, heavy promotion all over our social media platforms. Second place gets $100. This is all US dollars, of course. Publication of the story on the website, and then heavy promotion or social media and inclusion in the anthology. Third place gets no cash, but they do get publication of the story, heavy promotion, and inclusion in the anthology. So, and we'll probably pick more than just the 3 for the anthology, of course, but that'll be the top 3, what they'll get. We may do like a, what would you call that? Like, not participation awards, but like special mentions. You know what I mean? We won't have like a 4th, 5th, 6th place, but we probably will have special mentions for ones that come close. This is always a very tough competition. Last year we had about 20 people enter. This year, so let me put this into perspective. Last year's 20 people from September until December who entered. Again, that was our first year. This year we just started the competition 3 weeks ago, and we already have 22 people. So I am very excited about this. If we continue at this rate, I don't know what I'm going to do, because it's going to be hard. I mean, if you think about it, each person has, about between 2,000 and 5,000 words in their short story. So if you make that, it doesn't take long. Like 20 of them will be the size of a novel. So I'm basically going to be reading a few novels a month of these short stories, but it's totally worth it. Don't make me think that or don't let me make you think that I'm not happy about this, because I'm very excited. I'm very, very excited. I've read about 16 of them so far. I've been trying to keep up, and what I do is I rate them. I won't give away the whole process, but I rate them as I go in different categories, and I keep track of that. Then at the end, I'm going to go back and read my top 10 and pick 3 from there. That was my whole process. I just gave it away. So it's really a lot of fun. Some of these are incredible stories already. Some of these first entries are really incredible stories. I'm very excited about it. Anyway, that is the short story contest and our future anthology. It's a big deal to me. I really, really enjoy this. I love putting this together. So let's get into actual news, right? Actual media news. Tales of the Walking Dead, episode 6 came out last week. For AMC Plus, it came out the week before on the 12th, and then, or the 11th, I guess it was, and then it came out for AMC the week after that. Well, so this was the finale, right? And this one is called La Doña, and it was the story. Again, no spoilers. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I'm going to just kind of tell you my impressions of it. La Doña was a story about a woman. La Doña means like woman of the house. It means woman, but it's more or less woman of the house. My woman. Whoops. My wife is. She's a Spanish speaker, and she translated a lot of the stuff for me, and she kind of explained a lot of it to me, and I can't get over the fact that I just said my woman. So she explained a lot of this to me and what a lot of this meant. So I feel enlightened, right? And so La Doña basically means woman of the house, kind of like lord of the house, lady of the house, as you would say. So this woman runs this house. This couple is running from the zombies, and they get to the house and they meet her. And that's where I'll stop, because there's a lot of cool stuff that happens from there. But it's very horror centric. It's very, it's scary. It's a thriller. It's a really good episode. It's not, I don't think it's better than episode 3 still, the one with D, Alpha from season 9 and 10. But It is. I would say it's really good. I keep saying like this would be second place, and I've said that on a couple of the episodes. But I would say this one's probably second or third. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think the only exception, I think overall the whole season was really good. It's only 6 episodes. But I would say the only ones that were maybe an exception. I wasn't too impressed with the first 2. Actually, the second one was interesting because it was different, but I don't know, it didn't really fit. But after that, 3 was incredible. 4, 5, and 6 are really, really good stuff. So yeah, I think as an overall impression, I really like Tales of the Walking Dead. I don't think of course it's not better than the original series, which will be coming back very soon, like next month, which is really cool, a couple weeks. And then, as a spin-off, kind of explaining random stories throughout the zombie apocalypse, it works out really well. And then of course you have the one story, which is episode 3, which tells the backstory of Alpha, which is very, very cool. I wish they would have done that more. That was a fun little episode. Anyway, that's my kind of run and gun impressions of Tales of the Walking Dead. Really liked it. I think if I were to grade it, I'd probably give it like a B- or something like that, just because, like an overall average, I'd say, but pretty good. All right, now let's get into our next little thing. We have an interview on the site from Tina, who she's interviewed Karie Lee. I think it's pronounced Karie Lee. Karie Lee Knoke. She is a contestant on Alone season 9, which is going on. And so Tina was able to sit down with her and do a video interview, which was very, very cool. It's a great interview. You get a lot of kind of insight, behind the scenes stuff on Alone. So if you're a fan of Alone, as I'm a huge fan of Alone. Check this out. Alone is really, it's in its 9th season, and I think it just started really exploding in popularity, probably this year and last year, and maybe that has something to do with the pandemic, Alone, surviving kind of a thing. So yeah, you have that, very, very cool show about survival in random places. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out. And check out this interview, too. It's a great interview. Next little bit of news is Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl on The Walking Dead. This is not only a Walking Dead podcast, I swear. Anyway, Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, Walking Dead, his spinoff was originally going to be the Daryl and Carol spinoff, right? Well, Carol decided that she is not going to take part because Melissa McBride, who plays Carol, said that she didn't want to go to Europe to film it because she's been away from her family for so long, doing the original show. She didn't want to continue doing that. And I can completely respect that. So, and I think fans do too. Fans understand. So it's just going to be the Daryl spinoff now. And he's going to be in France. And at first when we heard this, we're like, how is he going to be in France? How's this going to work out? Is there a plane or a boat? Like what? So we figured that out in the show. And we figure out that there's a whole variant type of zombie that was talked about way back in the first season of the show. And that they kind of took that and they're using that in this spinoff. So it should be interesting. He says, this is the news part of this. He says in an interview that it's going to go in the opposite direction of The Walking Dead. What does that mean? The opposite direction? Does that mean that zombies are going to come back to life? I mean, of course not. But what does that mean exactly, right? We don't know. Anyway, it's interesting to think about. It's interesting to see his interview there and kind of figure out what in the world Daryl's talking about. Okay, Handmaid's Tale. This next little bit of news is about Handmaid's Tale. It has come out. Season 5 is out. Episodes 1 and 2 have happened, right? And actually, episode 3 is coming out very soon. But Stephanie wrote a review of episodes 1 and 2 of season 5. So if you want to find out, of course, I'm not going to give any spoilers on the show. And also, I haven't seen it. But if you want to check that out, if you've seen it, if you want to kind of, check your notes against Stephanie's notes on if you like the episodes or not, check out her article on the site. Okay, now those are all the things that are on the site, but there's also news that I haven't been able to write basically this week, so I wanted to talk about it. And these, some of these are interesting, some of them are just kind of human interest. But this first one, Tom Hardy, of course, who played Mad Max in Fury Road. I would say that he didn't have any speaking parts. He had like 3 lines in that movie. He is kind of a badass. I mean, I think we knew that. I think we have to take that with a grain of salt because he's also kind of a big jerk. I mean, he could kick my ass, but it's kind of documented at this point that he's kind of a big jerk. So he is what he decided to do last week. The guy's 45 years old. First of all, he's 2 years younger than me, and more power to him, right? He joined a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu championship on Saturday. He just went in there. I guess it was an open championship in England, Milton Keynes, England. He entered the championship, and he's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, I guess. It says he walked up in his blue gi and wearing a blue belt, which is the second adult rank in jiu-jitsu, and he won. He won everything. He won everything in his weight, his age, and his belt level. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool. I'm not a huge Tom Hardy fan. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I just feel like he didn't do much in Fury Road, right? He had a really cool costume and he grunted. But he's had other roles where he was really good. And so I totally commend him for that. And for this, like, if you weren't a Tom Hardy fan before, maybe check this out. It's pretty impressive. But anyway, one other interesting thing going on next week, actually a week from today, is Wasteland Weekend. Wasteland Weekend is the giant event. It's a huge event. There's like 4,000 to 5,000 people that usually show up, where you dress up in costume, you bring your Mad Max vehicles, they build an entire city in the middle of the Mojave Desert, and complete with power, and it's really amazing. I can't even describe it. And so you go there and you live in this post-apocalyptic world. You feel like you're in a movie set, for 5 days, whatever it is. I've been there twice, 2017 and 2019, and then they didn't do it in 2020 because of the pandemic. And so last year they brought it back for the first time since then, and it's been over 10 years they've been doing this. So it's a really great event. It's the event, it's the event to go to if you're a fan of not only the movies and everything, but also, being in that world. It's quite an experience. I can't explain it if you've never been there. But being a week ahead of time now, of course, they're set up and everything. So they're starting to set up now. They're at that point. A lot of people get early access to help set up their camps, which I have the tribe that I'm in, the Farlanders. They, a lot of them go there early to set up their camps. You have to set up the buildings and you have to set up the whole aesthetic of it, because there's a themed area and an unthemed area. The unthemed area, of course, is where you park your U-Haul trucks and your shiny new cars that that you bring to camp out. It's fine. You can do that. But it's separated from the themed area, and that's where I've stayed in 2019 I stayed in the themed area. And that you have to at all times look like you're straight out of a Mad Max movie. You have to, even at night, you can't put on your, fluffy PJs. Well, I mean, I'm sure they'll still have that in the apocalypse, but they don't have that in Mad Max. Well, actually, I think they might. But you don't want to appear outside of this immersion, right? You want to keep the immersion going, night, day, everything. So basically, that's it. It's an incredible event. Live music, live events, role playing constantly. Trading, you can trade people for really amazing crafts they make, like Wasteland crafts. There's like a whole market area. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible. If you have a chance, go. I drove all the way across the country twice, so you have no excuse. Well, unless you live in a different country or something. Actually, people go there from other countries all the time. When I went, I met some people from Japan, people from England, people from Germany. It's incredible. Anyway, so yeah, Wasteland Weekend next week. Another little bit of news. Now, this one I probably should have followed up with the Norman Reedus news a second ago, but I didn't. Norman Reedus is also getting a Hollywood star, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? So I think that's pretty incredible because he's a big part of the show since literally the first season. He might be the longest running. I think he and Carol are both the longest running simultaneously characters on the show. But he will be the 2,734th star on the Walk of Fame. How do they fit? I haven't been there. How do they fit all this? I want to see it one day. Of course, he plays Daryl Dixon, and he will be just commemorated there on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I think that's some pretty cool news. I mean, I think, after 11 seasons of this show, and he's coming up with his spin-off show, I think he deserves it, right? He's done a great job in the show. So everyone give him a round of applause. Live audience, give him a round of applause. All right, let's end this show with a little bit of news about a game called Ashfall. Ashfall is an MMO. If you don't know, that stands for Massively Multiplayer Online Game. MMORPG, if you continue that's role-playing game. It's an upcoming game. It's supposed to come out next year, 2023. It's described as a third-person adventure shooter, which is kind of a popular subgenre of MMOs lately. It was announced a couple months ago. Someone mentioned it. They showed, I think, one picture of it, and they said Ashfall is coming soon. And the picture looked great. A lot of people got really excited about it. Well, now they actually have a trailer to show off. They showed it off at the Tokyo Game Show. And here's the incredible part. Now, you look at the trailer. It looks cool, right? The concept art looks really cool. The characters look great. Everything looks really great. It looks like it's a really well done game. I don't know if it's a very expensive game. I don't know, but it is being developed by a company called NetEase Games. And if you go to the website, it's funny because they don't really give you a ton of info about the developer themselves, but they do. They're really into the fact that this game has a musical score by Hans Zimmer, right? Hans Zimmer, Dune, Gladiator, right? That guy. So it's a big time music producer is doing the soundtrack. We also have Steve Mazzaro, who's done stuff like Army of Thieves, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Icebox, things like that. So he's also a big time music producer. Einan Zur, I think is how you pronounce that. He did Fallout 3, Prince of Persia, Dragon Age Origins, and Fallout New Vegas. Oh, and Fallout 4. Fallout New Vegas, though. So he is the musical producer of those, and he is going to be involved also. I mean, I'm kind of more impressed with that than Hans Zimmer, to be honest. But everyone knows Hans Zimmer, and they know the name. Anyway, so it looks like a really cool game. It looks very gritty, something we would definitely expect from a post-apocalyptic game. It's supposed to be post-nuclear. I don't know. It just looks like it's something that you would want to see. Like if you were thinking of playing a post-apocalyptic game, then this would be it. It says players will embark on dangerous expeditions as wanderers in search of the fabled core of creation that may just save humanity and help rebuild civilization. Very cool. Very cool. It says you fight raiders and machines. I wonder if it's going to be like mechas or something. I don't know. Host of quests, missions among colorful NPCs. They say it has jaw-dropping sound and visuals, which I think they all say that. You can customize your character with various equipment and different character builds. Okay. All these to make taking down big bosses in the form of majestic monsters and absolute breeds. So there's big boss fights. I mean, a lot of this is very, common for an MMO, but don't mess with the formula, right? If it works, the World of Warcraft type thing works, do it. But change up the scenario a little bit, change up the aesthetics, right? Now, here's something also that I think is interesting about this game is they say it's going to release on PC and mobile. So what does that mean? Does that mean we're going to play? I mean, it's coming to Steam, but it's also coming to iOS and Android. So does that mean we'll be able to like cross-platform? I don't think they've said anything about that yet, but I would expect that to be a huge selling point if they can pull that off. You know, you could play maybe just certain parts of the game where you could play from your mobile, from your phone or your iPad or whatever, with people on Steam. That would be pretty cool. That would be a huge selling point. A game called Fallen Earth, which I absolutely love, came out a long time ago, I think in like 2009. That game actually, it had kind of a cross-platform feel to it, which was one of the first MMOs that I remember doing that. And how they had that set up was it wasn't where you could play the game from your phone, but you could do inventory management. You could do chat. You could chat with people in the game, like your normal, general chat was also on your app. And that was a really cool feature. And it's really a shame. I don't think they brought that part back. They brought the game back. Someone else bought it. Then someone else bought it after that. And it's running right now. The game is still out there. But I don't think they have the app support anymore, which is a shame because that was a really cool feature. Back when I wrote for Massively, we went to the studio and they showed us that thing when they were getting ready to bring it out. And I remember thinking, this is the future, like being able to do stuff on your phone. And this is like 2009, right? So you have to take that into consideration. But, look at things now. Cross-platform is becoming a lot more, popular, right? All right. So that does it for the news. We have a ton of things still on the website to check out. A lot of Attack on Titan news that I haven't really discussed. We also have more Alone, reviews and recaps. Tina does those for every episode. There's a lot about Chainsaw Man, which is an anime, and there's an event about that, and there's also new sub and dub trailers, cast updates, revealed, all kinds of good stuff like that. I have my YouTube roundup, which just came out today. I write a little article about a victory garden, so if you're into like prepping and gardening, stuff like that, I wrote a nice little article about that, which I intend to do more prepping stuff, I think, more articles like that on the site. But yeah, check it out. We also have a calendar on the side where we talk about what's coming up in the world of post-apocalyptic media. So thank you again for listening. I really appreciate every one of you. Make sure you check out the website, check us out on social media, check us out on Twitch, where I stream game. I stream game playing. That's a lot of fun. And just check us out everywhere where we are, right? Everywhere, except my home. Stay away from my home. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.